Am I the asshole for replying all to my mom's mass email with 3 years of documented evidence, including tax fraud, identity theft, and a text message admitting I'm not my dad's biological daughter?
Welcome to PopcornRest story. Today's story is about a mother who sent a cause-abusing a disappointment email with a $347,000 receipt, only to have her daughter reply with years of hidden evidence that changed everything. A single flight all turns into a family collapse no one's coming. Let's get started.
My mom sent an email to 48 members of my family this morning. The subject line was, "Cost of raising a disappointment." Attached was a spreadsheet, itemized, totaling $347,000. She had labeled it as the financial burden I had placed on the family over the course of my life, and suggested in the email body that it was time I took accountability for what I had cost them. She sent this on Mother's Day at a family gathering. While I was sitting in the same room, I am a financial analyst. I work with numbers and documentation for a living. I have been keeping a folder for 3 years. I hit reply all. Let me explain the folder. I grew up knowing something was wrong without being able to name it. My sister Vicky was the daughter my mom celebrated. I was the one who was tolerated on a good day and resented on a bad one. I spent years trying to understand what I had done. I eventually stopped trying to understand and started paying attention instead. 3 years ago, I started saving things. Not vindictively, or at least that's not how it started. I was doing my taxes and something didn't add up about a form I needed, and I started asking questions, and the answers led somewhere I wasn't prepared for. I kept asking. I kept saving. I built a folder. This morning, my mom handed me the perfect delivery mechanism. The first document I sent was a statement from the education trust my grandparents had established for me when I was born. The trust had been worth $89,000. My mom had emptied it when I was 19, transferred to her personal account, then purchased a Lexus. I had graduated with $67,000 in student loans that were unnecessary. I had spent for years believing there was no money for school. I had worked 2 jobs and taken out debt and graduated and moved to a city where I didn't know anyone and built a career entirely alone. All while $89,000 that was mine sat in a car in my mom's driveway. The second document was a tax audit summary. My mom had claimed me as a dependent for 6 consecutive years after I left home. I had not lived with her, been financially supported by her, or been aware that she was doing this. The fraudulent claims totaled approximately $30,000. The third document was a credit report. My credit score, as of last year, was 487. I had not opened the accounts responsible for this. Someone had opened them using my name, my date of birth, and my social security number. 3 credit cards, $47,000 in charges across all 3. The statements showed purchases at luxury retailers, designer bags, electronics, jewelry. One of the charges, which I had looked up specifically, was the engagement ring my sister was wearing at the table. I sent the account records. I sent the statements. I sent my sister's name and my mom's name and the addresses attached to the accounts. The 4th document was a screenshot. In March of last year, my mom sent my sister a text message. My sister had forwarded it to a mutual friend who had, after some hesitation, forwarded it to me 6 months ago. I had held on to it. I had not known when I would use it. I had understood that I would know. In the message, my mom told my sister that I was not my dad's biological daughter, that she had gotten pregnant at 17 by someone she had been seeing, that she had never told my dad, that every time she looked at me she saw what she had done, and that she had spent 28 years making me the problem because I was the reminder she couldn't make go away. I included the screenshot in the email. Then I sent it. Am I the asshole? My dad is sitting very still on the other side of the room right now. My sister is crying. My mom is staring at her phone. I need to know if I made a mistake. Not legally. I understand the legal situation. But whether I had any right to do this in this room in this way today, too long. Didn't read. Mom sent a $347,000 cost of raising a disappointment. Spreadsheet to 48 family members on Mother's Day. I replied all with documentation of the $89,000 education fund she stole. Minus 1 year of fraudulent tax claims worth $30,000. $47K in identity theft, including my sister's engagement ring, and a text message where she admitted I'm not my dad's biological daughter. Dad is still in the room. Am I the asshole? My dad just stood up and left without saying anything. My grandma is looking at me in a way I don't have words for yet. My sister is still crying. My mom hasn't moved. Update coming. Edit 2. My boyfriend just texted asking if I'm okay. I don't know yet. Going home. We'll write the update when I can sit still.
This story honestly feels less like normal family drama and more like a slow-motion explosion that's been building for years. And wow, I'm not gonna lie, but this one genuinely make me uncomfortable in the best way possible. The moment the mom sent that caused a braising a disappointments fresh as its 48 relatives of Mother's Day. That's already insane. You can literally pictures everyone sitting there awkwardly staring at their phones, roughly too shocked to even speak, but then sweating out the daughters has surgically been collecting evidence for 3 years. Oh, that's completely changed the vibe. At this point, you just know this situation is way deeper than anyone realize. And somehow every review keeps getting worse. The stolen college fund made my jaw drop. The tax frauds were crazy, but the identity theft kinetic to the sister engagement ring. Now, that's actually unbelievable. Then the message about her real father hits, and suddenly the whole room roughly feel eyes closed. And the dad suddenly working out at the end scares me the most. I feels like the next up is either going to expose even darker secrets or completely destroy the family for good.
Update 1. 3 days, Lateri. Want to write this down accurately because a lot happened, and I want the record to be clear. After I sent the email, the room was quiet for about 30 seconds. Then it was not quiet anymore. My dad read his phone. He read it the way people read things they need to read twice to believe. Then he stood up and walked out. He didn't say anything to anyone. He just left. My sister was crying before my dad stood up. She said she was sorry about the credit cards. She said she didn't know my mom had used my SSN and had only found out after the ring was already purchased. She said she should have told me. She said a lot of things. I listened and didn't respond. I didn't have anything to say yet. My mom stayed in her seat for most of it. She tried, at various points, to explain the education fund as a temporary loan, the tax filings as an administrative error, and the credit cards as a misunderstanding she had been planning to resolve. She did not address the text message. She did not look at me, my grandma Eleanor, who is 74 and not someone who raises her voice. Stood up at one point and said something to my mom that I only partially heard, but that caused my mom to stop talking immediately. Then my grandma came and sat next to me and put her hand over mine, and we stayed like that for a while. I went home that afternoon with my boyfriend. I slept for 11 hours. My grandma called me the next morning. She told me she had called her lawyer the previous evening. She said she had been meaning to update her estate documents for some time and that the previous day had clarified some things for her. She told me that my mother's share of her estate had been reduced from 35% to 5%. The 5% was the minimum required to make the change legally difficult to contest. My share had been increased from 10% to 30%. She also said she had something to give me in person. When I went to see her, she handed me an envelope. She said she had kept it for 6 years. She said my mom had given it to her after my college graduation with instructions to pass it along, and then had called back 2 days later and said she had changed her mind and wanted it returned. My grandma had not returned it. Inside was $50,000, a graduation gift from my grandparents that my mom had intercepted and tried to reclaim. I sat at my grandma's kitchen table for a long time. My dad called me that evening. He said he didn't know what he was going to do yet, but that he needed me to know that none of what had happened changed who I was to him. He said he had raised me. He said that was not something that could be undone by information. He said he was sorry that I had carried what I had been carrying alone. Then he said he had started the divorce paperwork.
Okay, this update completely changed the emotional ways of the story for me. At first, it feels like revenge, but someone finally snapping after years of being treated unfairly. But now, it utterly feels more like the Frew family catch up to everyone as ones. The part that truly got to me was the friend model of what we were taking, that $50,000 for 6 years, to hold on to that secret and keep it set for over half a decade just to rotate a future. That's incredible. that the tell says so much without needing a huge speech. You can tell some people in this family knowing things were wrong long before the email ever happened. But the part that really hits me was the dad's phone call. The fact that he still said, "I raised you," after learning everything. Well, that's probably the first gently loving thing this girl have heard in a long time. At the same time, though, the divorce papers may get offered. This family is nowhere near that far apart. And I have a feeling of that too is where things are about to get even messier.
Update 2. For now, 12 months. Here's where things are. I reported the fraudulent tax filings to the IRS. I filed identity theft reports for all 3 credit accounts. The accounts have been closed and the fraudulent charges flagged. The process of correcting my credit report is ongoing but moving forward. My score has already recovered 30 points and is expected to continue improving. My mom was informed of the IRS inquiry. I do not know what will happen from there. That is not something I am tracking closely. My sister has not been charged with anything. Her name was on one of the accounts, but the documentation suggests my mom had primary control. My sister and I have not spoken. She sends messages sometimes. I read them. I haven't responded yet. I'm not sure what I want that relationship to look like, and I'm not going to decide before I'm ready. My dad calls every Sunday. The calls are short. He asks how I'm doing. He tells me something small about his week. He doesn't ask me to process anything out loud or forgive anything on a schedule. He just calls. It is the most consistent thing he has ever offered me, and I find I look forward to it. My grandma and I have breakfast every Wednesday at a diner near her house. She orders the same thing every time, and so do I, and we sit there for an hour and talk about things. Last week she told me she was sorry she hadn't done more while I was growing up. She said she had noticed things and had told herself it wasn't her place. I told her the Wednesday breakfasts were her place. She agreed. My boyfriend and I are good. We moved in together last month. Our apartment has good light and a kitchen I actually use and nobody. And it who keeps score. My credit score is 612 and climbing the 50,000. Dollars mostly went toward the student loans that should never have existed. The rest is in savings. It is the first savings I have ever had that I did not have to justify to anyone. I think about the email sometimes, whether I should have done it differently, whether a private conversation would have been better, cleaner, kinder. Then I think about the subject line. Cost of raising a disappointment. Sent to 48 people. On Mother's Day, she chose the venue. She chose the audience. She chose the occasion. I just chose to reply, not the asshole. And I want to say something to anyone who is reading this from inside a situation where someone has been keeping a running tally of what you owe them. Start keeping your own records. Not out of anger, out of accuracy. The truth has a way of being useful when you least expect to need it and most need to have it. Keep the folder. Too long. Didn't read. Reported tax fraud to IRS credit dispute ongoing but improving. Score up 30 points. Dad filed for divorce. Calls every Sunday. Said I'm still his daughter regardless of biology. Grandma changed her will. Mom down to 5%. My share up to 30%. Grandma gave me the $50,000 graduation envelope Mom had tried to reclaim. Used most of it to pay down the student loans that never should have existed. Sister not charged. We're not in contact. Moved in with my boyfriend. Good light. No scorekeeping. Not the asshole. Keep the folder.
What makes this story stick with you isn't just the betrayal, is how long this girl has been wildly surviving is without anyone really knows say. The whole thing started up feeling almost unreal, like one of those family arguments that spiral way too far. But the deeper it goes, the sadder it gets. Every arguer peel back another layer and somehow make it clearer that it wasn't one best moment. These were years of manipulation, resentments, and emotional damage hiding inside an ordinary family image. And honestly, the ending surprised me in a different way. I expected screaming, lawsuits, and total chaos. Instead, the story slowly became about peace, not perfect peace, not forgiveness, but finally being around people who stopped making her feel like a burden. The dad calling every cent and without forcing emotional conversations. The grandma showing up consistently. Even the detail about apartment having good life felt similar somehow. Like Farah living in the spray where she can free. The The craziest part is that the mom says fresh sheets would humiliate her daughter publicly, but it's ended up exposing the entire food instead. At the end, the photo didn't destroy the family. It's revealed what have already been fragmented for years. Let me know what you guys think about this one, because I just want to hear your thoughts. And if you enjoy this story, don't forget to like, subscribe to Popcorn, remember this story. And I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.